On a disused airfield converted into a grueling test track, prototype mini-miners were put through preliminary tryouts.
De nye dæk, der blev udviklet, krævede nøje evaluering, og der blev arrangeret testkørsler for at sammenligne Mascottens vejgreb med en række af konkurrenternes nyeste modeller. En kurve med våd overflade blev konstrueret, og bilerne skulle køre gennem den med en konstant hastighed på 50 km i timen. Farten blev øget med intervaller på 3 km i timen, indtil bilen skred ud, eller i nogle tilfælde røg helt ud af kontrol. Morris Mineren klarede op til 67 km i timen i testkørslen, men Mascotten nåede op på 70 km i timen, den højst opnåede hastighed dengang. Nu var Mascotten klar til at blive testet af BMC-bossen Leonard Lord i egen person, med en vis Alec Isigonis som hans chauffør.
I told him, would you like to come for a ride, Nick? And he said, yes. So we went round the works, and I drove him at a hell of a speed. I'm sure he was terrified, because he was so impressed by his road holding. And we stopped outside his office. He got out of the car and he said, go and make it.
And so the mini-miner moves into full production. It has passed all its tests with distinction. It's built up in sections like a prefabricated house. Only no house ever had such a large ratio of internal space to external measurement. Body, engine and suspension meet, and once in position, busy hands begin to assemble the details to complete the most modern motor car ever conceived. A special chord formation has given the small diameter tires about the same long life that you get with good conventional sized ones. The Morris emblem with the famous Cowley bull is put on, and now the Morris mini-miner has become a production line reality, ready in a minute or two to drive off.
We were told, oh, well, of course, it will be called a mini-miner. And we were shocked. I think it's difficult for a lot of people to appreciate now. The word mini was hardly in the vocabulary. We had minor, and of course, Isigonis' own enormous success. And the word mini virtually was never used. It was, after all, shortened form of minimus. And we were appalled because we thought that this was the one way not to go, which was to emphasize what we believed would be the public's resistance to the car, that it was a toy.
But before these sensational cars in full production were announced to the public, BMC demonstrated them to the press of the whole world. These motoring correspondents took the new cars and drove them and saw for themselves how the clever suspension and the new engine position gave them a spacious car with such a wonderful ability to hold the road that they were a zippy joy to drive. Then, with one great jubilant voice, the press of the world paid tribute to the Morris mini-miner, hailed it as something brilliantly new in the field of motoring. For see what they said. Some baby, great car sensation. The Little Giant, it's a people's car that opens up a new era in family motoring. These new cars are sensational. BMC cars set up a new standard in cheap motoring. Performance and comfort retained. Some baby, loaded.
Sound the trumpets. Beat the drums. Wave the flags. British flags. For the fabulous twins, the Austin 7 and the Morris mini-miner. The nippy, zippy, raring for a trippy twins. The spacious, gracious, handsomely curvaceous twins. The willing, thrilling, seldom need a filling twins. The cars that are turning Mr. Man in the street into Mr. Man behind the wheel.
It created an enormous stir, but it did not create an enormous demand. It ran into severe trouble with the flooding. I had a very early Mini, and it is not an exaggeration to say that you had to wear Wellington boots or galoshes if it was at all wet. The water came in to the depth of ½ an inch or ¾ of an inch.
I'd designed the flanges of the floor the wrong way around, instead of that way. And it took us ages to try and put it right without correcting the main fault. We used to put plasticine and what have you to bung up the holes, thinking that's where the water was coming from, where it was only coming from this. As soon as we changed this, the water problem disappeared.
And so we went out to make a film which would be to convince the family that this was a practical, sensible answer to their motoring problems.
You don't believe it, do you? Ah, but wait. Wait until you step inside the Morris Mini Minor. There's so much room for 4 people, and so much parcel space. Everything stows away so neatly and easily. 4 happy people in a big, big little car. A real car for under 500 pounds. It does 70 miles an hour and up to 50 miles per gallon.
I think what really happened, if we're honest about it, is that it was by example. It started at the chic end. Quite a number of titled people and trendsetters. They began to make something that people should look at. And then it was by example.
When the Mini did eventually, when it came out and people started to buy them, I mean, all the racing drivers had one as a spare car, Bruce McLaren and Jack Brabham. And we were starting to put Formula Junior bits on them then. And then I went and saw Isigonis and said, why don't we build one of these cars for the boys, you know? And he said, well, it was a people's car. He said, I built it to go shopping and go on holiday. And I said, well, I think it handles well enough and it can go quick enough to, you know, please people. So anyway, we went and saw Sir George Harriman. And he said, well, take one away and do it. So we took a car away and put a Formula Junior engine in it. So we got disc brakes on it and a remote gear shift. And took it back, and Harriman drove it around the grounds of Long. He said, it's fantastic. He said, wonderful. He said, let's make some of these. The first Mini Cooper was just a Mini Cooper, really, and people loved it, and it was quicker than a Mini, and it did quite well we won the Saloon Car Championship with the standard Mini and so forth. And at the end of the first season, I said, well, what we've really got to do now is we've proved that this car can win. Let's build a real one. And that's when the S came about.
Cooper S-modellen placerede Mascotten sikkert på landkortet som personbilen, man kunne regne med, hvad enten går på væddeløbsbanen eller de krævende etapper i alverdens rallyer. Den dominerede totalt britisk motorsport i midten af 60'erne og bragte til lige den irske racerkører Paddy Hopkirks navn på alles læber. I løbet af de følgende år dominerede Hopkirk og den flyvende finske duo Timo Mäkinen og Rauno Aaltonen hvert eneste store rallyløb og præsterede blandt andet det helt enestående at vinde 3 Monte Carlo rallyer på 4 år.
Changing second gear. Changing third gear. And now it's coming long right-hand corner. Put this car a little bit sideways.
The Mini finished, actually, the Mini Cooper originally finished in the early 70s when Stokes took over the setup. And we didn't talk the same language. I don't know what it was, but he decided that he didn't think that competitions helped sell motor cars, and possibly thought it had affected the insurance. I don't know. Anyway, he decided that there was no more room for the Mini Cooper.
It's Fly Navy all the way as our lads aboard HMS Ark Royal take to the air on exercise in the blustery North Sea. But what's this? Could this be the ultimate deterrent?
Udover at spare 2 pund per bil i royalties til John Cooper, var det den nye ledelses håb, at afløseren Mini 1275 5 GT ville udløse lavere forsikringspræmier. Men i virkeligheden overså de folks uvurderlige følelsesmæssige tilknytning til Mini Cooperen til fordel for en bil næsten uden særpræg, som i sidste ende kostede det samme at forsikre. De nye biler fløj ikke spor bedre end de gamle.
I think Mini is also interesting in engineering terms, because Isigonis and the people